Past Presents by Kevin Mongelli. Interior car, day. Jake is staring intently out the window toward a descending plane. Exterior airport runway, day. The plane Jake is watching lands. Exterior countryside, day. The scenery has changed from airport to lush countryside. Interior car, day. A 19th century house catches the eye of Dr. Emerson. Exterior 19th century house, day. It appears that a woman dressed in a period dress is standing in the window. Interior car, day. Dr. Emerson leans toward the car window to look more closely, but the house disappears behind the trees. Exterior seaside town, day.
We are almost to our destination.
What a charming town.
The vehicle pulls in front of Edgar's house. Exterior toll booth, night. It is present day, and Davis is in a toll booth looking very bored as he collects money from vehicles occasionally pulling through. He has an overgrown beard and his shirt is untucked. George, an overweight man in his 60s, makes his way to Davis's booth and enters.
Davis?
George.
Anything to report?
Yeah, life sucks.
No, I mean anything new to report?
Not a damn thing.
Here, I brought you something.
He hands him a book titled Historical Influences.
What's this?
It's a book.
What for?
Well, to read. I know this job can get boring. I'm a bit of a history buff, so I grabbed this off my shelf because it is one of the better books on history I've read. Just thought you might find it to be interesting.
Davis flips through the book.
Thanks, George. Good night.
Davis quickly exits the booth. George sighs and takes over Davis's seat. Interior Davis's apartment, night. It is a very small and barely decorated apartment. Davis is sitting up in his bed with a beer. He's flipping through TV channels and not finding anything of interest. He turns off the TV and sighs. Noticing the book George gave him on the dresser, he gets up and brings it back to the bed. He opens it in the middle and starts to read. He then looks up from the book with an intense expression. He takes a deep breath, holds it for several seconds, then releases it. Interior Edgar's study, day. Dr. Emerson, Alicia, and Jake are admiring the decor and artwork.
I believe these items are all from the Renaissance period.
Very elegant.
I agree.
Edgar enters the room.
My guests, welcome.
And Dr. Graves, it is truly a pleasure to meet you.
They shake hands.
Call me Edgar, please. And you must be Jake, and of course, very nice to meet you, Alicia.
He shakes both of their hands.
I see you were looking at my Piero. This one is called St. Jerome in Penitence.
Yes, it's quite interesting.
What you may find interesting is that Piero della Francesca stopped painting and took up another profession partway through his life.
Really?
Yes, and you can find the answer to what he chose for his new profession by studying his paintings.
All three begin to study the painting.
I see books in the painting. Did he perhaps become an author?
Unfortunately, not quite.
Based on the theme of the painting, did he become a theologian?
Another good guess, but we need to look closer at his style rather than the painting itself.
It is very balanced painting with shapes and angles.
You're right on track, sir. And?
I would say he became an architect.
Very close, sir. Actually, he gave up his painting to become a mathematician. He dedicated his last years in creating scholarly works in geometry and perspective.
He points to sections of the painting.
See the placement of these trees and these books? That is true geometry and excellent perspective.
Truly fascinating, sir.
Every individual has unique talents and passions. It is important to embrace them and be the catalyst for their growth in order to enhance your self-actualization as well as to better this universe with your contributions. Let us proceed to the next room, where I have drinks and snacks prepared. You must have acquired hunger on your trip, shall we?
He leads them to the next room. All three continue to take notice of the decor as they proceed. Interior Edgar's house, sitting room. There are food and drinks on a table next to the sofa and chairs in a circle.
Please, help yourself, my friends, and then let's sit and chat.
They each select food and drinks and then sit down.
Firstly, I'm truly honored to have each of you here.
I assure you, sir, the honor is ours.
I believe I am on the precipice of a breakthrough. This project has taken a good portion of my life, but perhaps this next step will be the moment I have been waiting for. I asked you for I need some assistance with intelligent collaboration as well as objectivity. The basis of my concepts are described in my book, which I know you're all familiar with.
What would you like us to do?
At this point, simply observe. Perhaps it is time to show you what this is all about.
Knocks at the front door.
Oh, let me introduce you first.
He leaves the room. Sounds are heard of the front door opening, as well as inaudible dialogue. He re-enters, and following is Alexine. Dr. Emerson and Jake immediately stand up. Alicia slowly follows suit.
Please, allow me to introduce you to my assistant, Alexine. Alexine, this is Alicia, Jake, and Dr. Stephen Emerson.
Alexine smiles and nods to each of them. When she reaches Dr. Emerson, their eyes lock for a few moments, but then he diverts his eyes.
Shall we proceed? I have shared this with very few, so I admit that I'm feeling both apprehension as well as eager anticipation.
Indeed. Please lead the way.
Interior Edgar's house, hallway. He leads them down the hallway to the door with the keypad. Covering it with his hand, he enters the code. They follow him downstairs. Interior Edgar's house, outside of laboratory. He opens the final doors with the optical scanner. Jake, Alicia, and Dr. Emerson share looks of being impressed. Alexine behind them sees them and smiles.
In case you haven't noticed, he doesn't do anything small.
Interior Edgar's house, laboratory. They all enter the elaborate laboratory. Edgar stands back and watches the three of them as they scope out the facility in awe.
Welcome to my life's work. This is the DNALYM.
Quite impressive, sir.
Edgar approaches a console and signals for them to approach him.
Here are the brains. It all begins here.
He enters data into the keyboard and the entire device begins to hum.
Alexine, when can we expect our first subject?
A light flashes on the wall and Alexine points to it.
I believe our subject has just arrived. I'll go retrieve her.
Excellent, excellent.
Alexine exits the laboratory.
If I may ask, Dr. Graves, what's that large monitor for?
That, my dear Jake, is the most recent and exciting addition to the DNALYM. If all goes as planned, the information we seek will appear on that monitor.
Wow, really?
Well, that is the hope. This will be the initial test with this rather crucial element.
Alexine enters and is followed by Kristen, a woman in her 20s that looks like a gypsy.
Well, hi everybody.
Edgar, Dr. Emerson, Jake, and Alicia. I would like you to meet Kristen.
Hi y'all. That's Kristen with 2 Y's.
Welcome, Kristen, and I appreciate you responding to my ad.
My pleasure, sir. I can use the extra money, and the free health checkup is certainly a bonus.
Did you have any trouble finding the place?
Well, I ain't so good with directions, so I actually took the bus into town yesterday. I wandered around all afternoon until I finally found the house. Since we weren't scheduled to meet until today, I just crashed over at the park.
Well, I'm glad you made it.
Alicia and Jake roll their eyes at each other. Edgar notices and smirks.
Well, shall we begin?
Do with me what you must.